Welcome, scholars! Here we are on our Module 5 Excel report, the last assignment of the semester. Bravo! You made it through. Excellent work. Super proud of you guys. On our Module 5 Excel, we're just going to dig right in, get started. Right on number 1, we're going to go on a shopping spree. Someone went on a shopping spree and picked out 2 pair of jeans for 47 bucks each, a pair of shoes on sale for 39 bucks, and a splurged on a sweater for 95 bucks. And then they have 2 coupons, but they can only use one of them. The first coupon offers 45% off any single item, and the second coupon offers 10% off the entire purchase. So let's go ahead and answer some of the questions, and I bet they're going to ask us which coupon's going to be the best deal. So coming down here, you see that there's a chart I made for you guys, and I went ahead and cut and paste this chart into my Excel. You guys will have to type it out, and I'll walk you through that kind of quickly. Hopefully by now you've got that down pat. The questions that we're going to cover, first of all, you're going to get on the www, the World Wide Web, and answer the following questions. You're going to Google these questions. I'm not going to talk to you about this. I want you guys to do that. Hopefully you learn something. You're going to discuss these questions in your final report, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say about this. And then we're going to answer how much is the total with the 45% off, how much for the 10% off, which coupon's the best deal, and how much you're going to save. And then, of course, you're going to have your summary, which is going to also include what you found for these answers in part alpha up here. All right, so over here, you guys type in these words, all the words that you see here, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Select whatever you type in. You won't have any borders on there. And then you're just going to select your borders, but your borders are likely not going to look like that. They're going to look like the default, and you're going to wish they looked like mine. It's going to be lighter. And so you're going to go up to borders, click on the little drop down arrow, go to line style, and your line style by default is this top one, but you want it to be dark. It looks nicer when it's dark. Once it turns dark, you'll get this little pin. It'll let you do it piece by piece, or you can hit escape and then just go back up and hit your borders again, and you'll get your nice clean looking borders. Select the pieces that you want to change colors for. This little paint thing, change your colors. All right, let's type stuff in. I have my cost for the jeans was $47. I had 2 pair of jeans, so 47. My shoes were on sale for 39 bucks, and then I also had a sweater for, what was that sweater? 95. Holy cow, $95. I'll tell you what, I pay $3.50 for my awesome, amazing clothes at the Goodwill. I can get a heck of a lot more clothes for these costs, and pretty cool stuff too. All right, so let's look here. Now I have this in Excel. I want to know the total, so hopefully, guys, I'm moving quickly here. I am going to just grab all of these values that I want to sum up. I'm going to go over to my editing, auto sum. And we've discussed before, depending on how big your window is what depends on what you see up there on your taskbar. So if you see the little sigma, a sigma is this thing, it means to add stuff up. If you see that, then that's all you click on. But the way I'm on a split screen, which you probably are too, watching this video on a split screen, so you're just going to see this editing tab, and then you'll find it under there. All right, so then now I have the choice of 45% off a single coupon. 45% off a single item. Which item are you guys going to choose? Well, you want the most expensive item to get 45% off. So what I'm going to do is all of these guys, I'm just going to copy all of these right into the next cell here. I can even do it in the next one. All right, and then now I have 45% off a single item. Well, of course, I hope we all see that I would want 45% off this item. So I'm going to go ahead and change my mind. It's okay for me to change my mind. I am going to undo what I just did. I'll tell you why in a second. So to undo it, you have to click outside the cells that you're trying to work with. So I did clicked off out there, and now I'm going to undo. I'm trying to undo those cut and pastes because I want to use a better method, more mature method. All right, so I'm going to put the equal sign, and I'm actually going to just select these. Why? I don't know. I could have done the other way. I guess it's because when I apply the coupon, I wanted to do a cool thing, that's all. All right, so now I'm going to obviously apply the coupon to the $95 sweater. I hope they get a lot of use out of a sweater that costs 95 bucks. So now I want to apply how much off? 45%. So this is where people get confused because it's $95. So it's the cost of the sweater minus 45% of $95. So 45%, I say of all like that because we all learned that in word problems, the word of means to multiply. So here's the price of the sweater, $95 minus 45%. Notice how I used my decimal. Minus 45% of, there's my multiplication symbol of the $95. And I know it confuses you guys when I click the cell and you would rather me just type in the 95. You tell me that, you tell me you do it. But guys, I'm showing you how to use a cool tool. I'm not just showing you how to do a subtraction multiplication problem. I'm showing you how to use a cool tool. So use it on these easy things so you are more likely to try it out on harder stuff. All right, so here we go. Cool. Now I am going to again apply my sigma. Now sigma is just a Greek letter that we use to notate adding stuff up. And then here now I have the same thing, 10% off my entire purchase. All right, fine. I'll go ahead and just Control C, Control V this. But I have another thing I can do here. Now I have the situation that I can just put an equal sign because the total is the same, right? I'm trying to subtract 10% from this entire total. So I'm going to put equals the sum of these cells. When I said these cells, I selected those 4 cells. All right, the sum of those 4 cells minus the same thing again, the sum of these 4 cells. Oh, it didn't let me do it. All right, so I'm probably confusing you. What is the sum of those 4 cells? It's 228. So I'm trying to do 228 minus 10% of 228, and I'm trying to do it fancy with some of the cells. So let's see if I could do it this way. If I can copy this, Control C. So now I want minus 10%. Notice I used my decimal 0.1. Minus 10% of the sum of the cells, which is, we know it's 228. Remember, you guys are supposed to show your formulas when you start your video for your exam. So I do expect to see these formulas when I look at your videos. All right, moving forward, we are going to, let me try something real quick I haven't done yet, so one moment. Okay, awesome. It worked beautifully. I wish I would have kept you guys on while I did it. So I just selected the whole chart here, and I went to this graph and just hit graph. Isn't that cool? And now I have a lovely graph that shows me, let's see, what does it show me? It shows me that for each column, let's see, for each column, the jeans were the same price, the shoes were the same price, and then for the column with the 45% off, the sweater, look how much lower now the sweater is than the other costs. And then on our totals, we can clearly see that the total cost for the blue, so that's without a coupon. And then the orange is the 45% off coupon. And then this beige color, gray, whatever this is the 10% off coupon. So now, instead of looking at a bunch of numbers, I can look at a glance and see which is the best deal. It's clearly the orange, right? The total outcome for the orange is the best deal. And then, of course, I want you guys to put titles on your charts, label your axes. By doing that, you can just click this green plus sign here, add titles, axes titles, and then give them some names. All right. And you can add labels, but see how busy it gets. And trend lines are going to be, we'll look at trend lines when we do our exponential. I think that's numbers 5 or 6 or something. All right. There's number 1, guys. I'm going to move along here. Oh, and I always forget to remind you, you guys, there's a rubric for this. Sorry, I'm talking and working at the same time. I'm such a multitasker. But what I did is I went to insert up here, and then I went over to the text, and I am inserting a text box. And in this text box, I want you guys, I guess I did that other one when I was talking earlier. And in here, I want your summary. All right, I'll even here. How about this? We'll cut and paste these instructions right in here, and I'll make it a nice big fat red letters. How about that? All right, and I want you guys to write that summary in there. Make sure you discuss everything. Does it say to discuss what you found in part A? Look, I'll even italicize and underline that so you don't forget. All right, so here are your questions over here. Make it sound like a story, folks. I don't want some sentences with a bunch of numbers. Explain something to me. This is quantitative literacy. Write something cool. All right, jumping on to number 2. All right, moving on to number 2, we are going to talk about Gwen and the house that she's going to buy. Gwen's house is going to cost her $121 grand. She's going to pay $32 grand down and then finance the rest with a 10-year mortgage and monthly payments of $1,187, which go toward the loan and the interest on the loan. And we're going to create a chart to show all of our work for parts alpha through delta. Parts alpha through delta are asking questions like, how much money will Gwen finance? And making sure I was recording, because I have made entire videos before and realized I wasn't recording. You guys might have done that too. I think I've heard a couple complaints about that. How much money will she finance? How many months are in a 10-year period? How much money will Gwen pay over a 10-year period to pay off the loan? How much money did she pay in interest over the 10 years? And then, of course, we will write our famous summaries that everybody always loves to write. Just kidding. All right, so sorry to be improving my aesthetics while I'm making the video, but I just want it to look nice. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. Of course, we all know that you guys can't do that. But I'm trying to save time and you're trying to learn how to use the tools. So all right. So what kind of information do we have here? And before I forget, I'm just going to copy this thing here, because I want it sitting here the whole time I'm talking about it, so everybody doesn't forget about their summary. If I forget, sometimes in the videos, I forget to mention it, and so everybody's like, oh, I didn't think I had to write a summary because you didn't say it. All right, so let's keep rolling on. No rambling loud. How much money will she finance? Well, the house cost 121 grand. Is she going to finance that much? No, because she's paying 32 grand down, so she doesn't have to finance that amount. So what's that going to look like over here in Excel? Well, we have the price of the house, 121,000. We have our down payment. Are all of these money? Oh, it doesn't matter. I was going to say, if these are all money, and you guys see sometimes I select stuff and then I skip it. I'll like hold it down. I hold it down and drag it. Oops, I don't want that other thing. Hold it down and drag it, and then I'll hold the control key on my keyboard, and then over here I'm going to also select these two cells because I'm going to change all this to money. That's why I'm doing this. I'm going up here and changing it to money just to make it look better. And I didn't want to select the number of months because that's obviously not going to be money. All right, so what was my down here? It was 32. And so what was the amount financed? Really, I'm just going to leave this to you guys. You guys should be able to do this after the last problem that we just did. The amount she financed, it's so hard for me not to do it, but I want you guys to do it on this last Excel. It's, of course, the price she paid minus the down payment. You're going to put in your monthly payments. You're going to use the number of months in 10 years. Should I write all that? The number of months in 10 years. And then the interest, the total that she paid, and the interest. And you guys, if you don't know how to do this, go to homework number 11. All right. And I am going to just put some random numbers in here. 7,000. And I'm just going to put that in each. I know I'm confusing people because some of you are just watching this and not listening. All right, so what I was going to do is put numbers in all of those and show you guys. But when you do get all your numbers in there, you're going to select all of these cells. You're going to go to insert and you're going to give me some type of chart. And your chart is going to show you how much you paid for each thing. And you're going to get to visually see the price of the house, the down payment, how much you actually financed, and all of this stuff. You're going to actually be able to see it. The total paid is going to be very interesting, folks, because the total paid is going to end up being an amount, of course, more than the price. Remember that the total amount is going to be the price plus the down payment plus the interest. Okay, so all right, guys, it looks like we're ready for number 2. Number 2, we are talking about Gwen buying a house. She buys a house for 121 grand. She pays 32 grand down and then finances the rest with a 10-year mortgage and monthly payments of $1,187. Those payments go toward paying off the loan and the interest on the loan. We're going to create a chart answering questions alpha through delta. How much does she finance? How many months are in a 10-year period? How much does she pay over a 10-year period? How much money did she pay in interest? And then, of course, our famous summaries that everybody loves to write. All right, I have already started number 2. So I have this set up. You guys can put your chart in. I went ahead and cut and paste up from number 1 so you guys can remember to put your scenarios in there. Make them nice. Make it sound like a story. I mean, come on. These problems are stories, so the answers should sound like stories. The amount she financed here was what? Well, folks, what does she finance? That's how much she needs to borrow. The house cost $121,000. Does she need to borrow that? No. She's going to borrow $121,000 minus the down payment. You see how I use my fancy formulas to do that? And then we have our monthly payment amount was given to me over here. It was 1187. The number, oh, and something I did before, because of course I had to restart the video, was you guys see how my numbers are all coming up as numbers here? I mean, as dollars. I selected these cells. I just hold and drag, and then I unclicked my clicker and held down my control button on my keyboard and then re-clicked over here in these two cells because I wanted all of those to be dollars. So I just went to my number tab up there and I clicked dollars. Of course, I didn't do the months because months don't get counted in dollars. But the question here was how many months in 10 years? Well, there are 12 months times 10 years, 120 months. And then we want the total paid. Well, how much did she pay? She paid well, there are multiple ways we can do this. We can apply the formula and use interest, and we will actually do that in number 4. We're gonna do this the way I was just thinking of, but right now for this problem, they actually have us doing it a simpler way because they gave us the monthly payments. So the total amount she paid here is going to be all of her monthly payments times the number of months that she paid them. So 1,187 times 120 is the total that she paid for the house. Now, what was her interest that she paid? See, in number 4, we're going to calculate interest in a different way. The interest that she paid was the total minus what she financed, right? Because she borrowed. See, like right now it doesn't, if you don't look at it right, you might think, oh, okay, she paid $21,000 in interest, which is still a lot. But no, because that's not counting her 32 grand she put down. That she borrowed 89,000. So how much is the actual interest that she paid? Well, it's the total amount she paid minus the amount she financed. So she paid $53,400 for $440 in interest. All right, so here's the easy part. These problems are easy, guys. You know, writing the summary, I expect to see a good summary. This is finance. All of this stuff applies to you. I know it's a minimum of 5 sentences, but go overboard here, guys. You might buy a house one day. Talk to me about what you're going to see in this graph. We're going to insert, and you know, you guys have choices of other types of graphs. A pie chart's not going to work here. A pie chart only works when you have something that's worth 100%. This data doesn't work like that. All right, so let's see. We're going to put all of our stuff in a chart here. I like this chart because see how at least I can, the monthly payments are so low relative to the other numbers, and the number of months are so low relative to the other numbers, we can't see them in the regular bar chart. No, you can't see the number of months at all. But when we look at this little 3D version, we can actually see that there's something there. So that's kind of cool. All right, I want, you know, full labels. You know, make it look beautiful, guys. Label everything very nicely. Talk to me all about the total amount that she paid relative to the cost of the house and the total amount she paid relative to the amount she financed. Okay? And why did all these numbers get like this? Well, because it just ran out of space. So options are I can make it bigger. I can make my number smaller. All kinds of stuff I could actually do to change that. All right, everybody, please make sure that you add axes titles. Your x-axis is going to be, what are you going to name that? Where's my There it is. My axes titles. I would probably name my axis information about buying a house, expenditures about buying a house, and then this is going to be the amount in dollars. Now, really, truly, to name this axis, the amount in dollars, I really need to get the months out of there. It doesn't really fit. And if you guys wanted to, I'm just going to go ahead and do this because it's the best thing. I'm allowed to have afterthoughts in the middle of making you a video and showing you how to do something, aren't I? I'm going to take these number of months. I just selected these cells. I'm just going to move them. Move them right over here. We have the price of our house, down payment, the amount we financed, and I really didn't feel like the monthly payments fit into my chart. But it does have to do with money, so I'll go ahead and leave it. All right. So what I'm doing now is trying to select these cells, and I'm going to move them over here. So the number of months was just kind of a something we needed to know in order to find the total paid. Do you see the problem that happened here? Because I applied that formula. The total paid now just needs to be Juliet 29 times Echo 29. All right, so that's good. All right. It actually drug it with it. Did you guys see how that all worked out? The formula actually changed according to where I drug that cell. That's pretty cool. Something I've never done before. All right, here we are. Let's look at our chart again. Is there any other way we might want to arrange this? It's fine how it is. You guys can think about if you want to arrange it some different way. I'm just going to leave it like this for now. So I'm ready to move on to the next question. Make sure that you add your axes titles. Name each axis accordingly. Write me a nice story. Not me, but write it for yourself. I hate that I said that. All right, moving on to number 3, folks. All right, guys, it looks like we're ready for number 3. So for number 3, we are going to talk about paying taxes and tax brackets. So you had some problems, some questions in your homework asking you about tax brackets. Hopefully you wrote something about tax brackets somewhere in your content organizer, in your summary, your essay, your video notes, all the stuff that you had to write in your portfolio. Hopefully somewhere in there you talked about taxes. Here we're going to talk about if you have a job that you make $35,900 annually, that puts you in a 15% federal tax bracket. And after paying local and state taxes, you'll probably end up paying having about 20% of your income deducted. Then you're going to get a raise. Your raise takes you up to $37,700, which changes your tax bracket. And now you're in a 24%, where 24% gets deducted. So let's answer some questions. How much would you pay in taxes before your raise, and how much do you have left? And then how much do you pay in taxes after your raise, and how much do you have left, of your paycheck? And then, of course, the wonderful summaries. So we're going to go ahead and build our chart. I already have built this chart, and I'm not cheating. It's not like, oh, Miss Binsey gets a copy and paste and I don't. Well, I created that in the first place. I still created it, you see. All right. Make this a little bit bigger here for you guys. And I am going to cut and paste the summary thing before I forget, so that you folks don't forget. Sometimes if I forget, some folks think that's an excuse to forget. But that's not the case. It's all in the rubric. I'm going to take a moment to go back to the top here and just take a look at this rubric. If you're watching the whole video and you look at the rubric, remember it says to apply your formulas, use charts and graphs, get calculations, keep it organized. You guys do such a good job at doing all of these things. I'm super proud of you for being able to follow the rubrics. The Excel reports are superb. Super duper proud of you guys. All right, so back to number 3. We are looking for our old amount. So what all stuff do we have here? I see where I was going with this, the amount of tax. I think I'm going to pause the video, or I guess I don't have to. I can just do it while I have you guys right on here. What do I want to add to this? I want to add not just the tax, but the total income and then the tax percentage, and then I'll look at how much we paid. So I actually want to add quite a lot of stuff here. So I'm going to Control C, Control V, all this. And then we're going to have, let's have our annual pay. And then the percentage, or I can actually just use a percent deducted. All right, make that font smaller. And there was something that happened up earlier. I realized I didn't tell you guys, but if you select your cells, and you can right click, and I know I've showed you this before, go to Format Cells, and then Alignment and Wrap. Anytime you do that, then everything you write will automatically be wrapped in the correct amount of space that it needs. All right, so we have our annual pay, the percent deducted, and then what? We don't need this anymore. All right, so then we have the tax. Let's write tax paid. Let's see what we come up with here. My annual pay here is $35,900. Uh-oh. Well, I want that annual pay. I have to delete the 0 because that's not in the problem. All right. And the percent deducted was 20%, but how do we write that? 0.2. Actually, I'm going to try something I've never tried before. I'm actually going to select these cells and go up here to number and change them to percent. So now I have 20% there. And then the amount of taxes that I paid, that is going to be my annual pay. Well, let me select the cells the way I'm going to say that. 20% of, remember when I say of like that, it means multiplication. 20% of the annual pay, and that's how much taxes I paid. And I'm actually going to also select all of these cells, and I'm going to change them to dollars. And actually, I should have done these cells. The leftover amount is also going to be dollars. All right. Now, when I said total, what did I mean here? I'm going to pause the video and have a look. Okay, I think when I wrote total, because I added these columns, I meant the taxes paid. So I'm just going to... All right, now here we have a nice little chart. And what do I have left over? Well, left over is my annual pay minus my taxes that I paid. And that's how much money I have left over after taxes. The $35,000 a year doesn't look as good anymore, does it? But you know what, you guys? That's 20%. I lived in Germany, and in Germany, the folks there paid 50% of their taxes, but they had healthcare, and it's a much smaller country, so they're able to take care of each other a little better. All right, so here let's see what happens after we get a raise. We have 37,700. Wow. Man, I wish that was my pay. Could be if I worked harder, right? All right, and then how much is going to be deducted now? 24%? Uh-oh. I wrote 24, and that's 24% is written as 0.24. All right, so I guess initially I should have put it in 0.24, but now that the percent sign there is there, I can put in the 24. All right, so the amount of taxes paid. Now I can actually just select this cell and drag it down, and it will apply the right formula to, what is this, delta 52 times Charlie 52. All right, so then what is left over? Well, again, I can just apply this down here. Look at that. So you got a raise. How much was your raise? Let's just have a look. The raise was exactly this amount minus this amount. And let's just record this here. Amount of raise. I'm going to format that cell. I wasn't correctly clicked in the cell to format it. All right, so here's the amount of my raise, but what do you guys see here? I got to raise an $1,800 raise, but then what about this over here? What's left over? I should actually make a better chart for this. Left over, we have, I guess we need to write down how we calculate this. Excel puts things in parentheses when they're negative. So what this means is I got a raise for $1,800, but I'm actually getting $68 less. So I got a raise, but I'm getting less money. So you guys can write about that in your scenario over here. And this stuff can probably be recorded better. You guys can think of a way to record this information better. Or, how about that? That's a little better, isn't it? All right, so like I said, Excel uses parentheses to record negative numbers. So this is negative 68. And you guys can, write it in there however you want to. Okay, now let's look at a little chart. So I'm just going to select this data. I'm just putting these bar charts in actually because I'm tired, to tell you the truth. But what I would really like to do is we could make pie charts out of this. Let's go ahead and do it. We have our annual pay, our taxes, and what's left over. So in this case, we're going to see annual pay, taxes, and what's left over. Let me experiment for a second. All right, let's just look at a couple things. I can, if I wanted to choose these cells, I could insert a pie chart here, because these two values, the taxes paid plus what I get in my deposited into my account, what's left over is 100% of something. It's 100% of my total pay. So when I have 100% of something, I can insert a pie chart. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple pie charts just to show you guys what it would look like. For this pie chart, I'm going to go ahead and add some data labels. The labels, I really like shout outs or call outs. I know this is not cash cab, is it? I like those little call outs. And then I might name this one, before before the raise. All right, I'm kind of running out of space here. All right, so you guys could put some little charts in there to just show, hey, this is 80%, 20%, and then when you put the second chart in, and what I'm doing here is I'm selecting these two green tops, and then I take off my clicker, I press Control on my keyboard, and then I select the other cells. And then I'm going to insert another little pie chart. So, this is just a little, these don't really mean much, but it's just a cool way to show, hey, I know what I'm talking about. Here's my chart. When I say how much money you get to keep 76%. You have to give away 24%. So, did not mean to do that. So I'm just going to make this big for a second because the space issue, I never knew you could feel claustrophobic from working on a computer, but that little space was doing that to me. All right, so here we can kind of show that. What else could we show? What would be something else cool to show? What if I showed the annual pay? Let's just see what it's going to look like if I do this whole chart. So now I'm going to insert, make sure I'm recording. I'm going to insert a something. What will it be? This looks nice. This 3D thing looks pretty good. What do you guys see here? What do you observe? I mean, it looks pretty clear that you want to get that percentage deducted out. It doesn't really seem to be showing us anything. And plus, that's okay because we already showed it with our pie charts, you see? We have our pie charts here, so if we don't show that in our bar graph, awesome, we have the pie charts to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and select everything here. Again, I'm using that control button on my keyboard. I could drag that deducted away like I did on that other one up there, but I'm trying to do things different ways so you guys can see different features. Now I'm going to insert a, what do you guys want? Plain old regular old? Do you like a vertical? I mean a horizontal? I like the horizontal, that's kind of cool. It's just different. And of course you guys know we can change, we have all these cool charts. Change your stuff. Don't leave it like mine. Be creative, make it your own. You do remember the rubric that we looked at for this? There's a piece here that says organization, neatness, and originality. So, don't make it look exactly like mine. All right. So now here we can add, well, not we can, but please make sure you add axes titles. And, I actually kind of like those. I don't normally like the data labels in there, but I do this time. It looks nice. Doesn't that look sharp? It doesn't always look sharp. It usually looks too busy. Speaking of looking too busy, what about this x-axis? Let's do something with that. The major means that it's counting by 5,000s. Well, now that I have my data labels on there, those aren't going to be such a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and make them at 10,000 just to see if it cleans up what's down here some. It looks like it did, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. Make stuff look nice, folks. Take pride in your work. Here we have, I just wrote old pay and new pay. You guys could be more creative before the raise, after the raise. Tell me stuff about it. But now, instead of looking at those numbers and realizing Excel has a negative number for these parentheses, I can just, at a glance now, look at my chart and clearly see, whoa, what am I saying whoa about? My new pay and my old pay. What's left over? Look at the difference in your raise. Do you see the spatial difference. This is the cool thing about visual aids and graphs. I have a clear spatial difference here between my raise and my old pay. But then when I go up here and I look at how much I get to keep, what's left over, instead of left over, change that to what you get to take home. Take home. Oh, I know. Change it to gross and net. Those would be good vocabulary words to use in your summary. So here you can clearly see that with your raise, you're making a very slightly less. And you might be able to even see that better. I guess not if you expand it. So play around with that. Make it look nice, you guys. Make it your own and write up a nice summary. And let's move on to number 4. All right, guys, we're ready for number 4. Number 4, we're going to talk about some simple and compound interest. Easy enough. I hope. We have formulas. We love formulas in math. We say plug and chug. If we have a formula, we just plug in the numbers and let the formula do all the work. So this is number 4, and we are going to look at the difference between earning either simple interest or compound interest on an investment of, how much does it say up here? Some investment of some amount. Here it is, 60,000. So we're going to invest 60 grand. Woohoo! I wish I had 60 grand to invest. And then we're going to check it out for a 6% simple interest and a 6% compound interest. We'll create a table with the future values, and then we're going to find out the difference. So there are a lot of things that we could add to our table here. I just had years, 6% simple interest. I guess really I should have said total with, because we're going to actually just go ahead and calculate the whole thing for each of these. I could add a lot more columns and put in different specific informations, but you'll see where we're going with this here in a second. All right, so again, the coveted copy and paste, but I will remind you that I did create that chart on the exam and the exam, so I have done my share here. All right, here we have all of this. This kind of stuff drives me nuts. I'll just make it a little smaller and then I'll do that. All right, so of course you guys aren't going to have to do a couple of things I'm going to have to do here, but you'll put your borders and you can do some other stuff while I do this. Don't forget, you can just select 2 numbers there and drag it down. I want this to go to 30. I just didn't do it on the homework paper. I was just, I guess, saving space. All right. So let's go ahead and start rolling with a couple of other things. I need information here. I need my principal. So I'm just going to put some stuff here. Principal was 60 grand. And then I also had my my rate. And my rate in this case was 6%. And I'll go ahead and tell Excel I want this to be a percent in this cell. You have to be clicked on it just right. That's the hardest thing about using Excel is, like, how do I click on it to make it work? All right, so there I have those. I'm going to go ahead and let this be dollars. What else is going to be dollars? All of this stuff's going to be dollars. I'm going to go ahead and you guys know, just moving stuff around, making it look nice. Just because it's cool to do that. Stuff looking nice is cool stuff. All right, now let's get busy with our formulas. I am going to, actually before I do anything else, I am going to cut and paste this so that I do not forget. So there we have that there. So my total with 6% simple interest after 5 years. That's what this chart is asking. After 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, what is my total amount in my account going to be with these different scenarios? So let's see which is better with an investment, simple interest or compound interest. I have formulas. The formulas are all given to you here in the scenario. This gives us for our future value of our simple interest. We're not just calculating the interest here. We're actually going to calculate. Oh, that's what I should have wrote. Future value. How about that? Future value. All right. So the future value for this one, it's a formula. And so my formula says that I am going to do the principal plus the interest. Well, the interest is the principal times the rate times the time. So I have all kinds of ways I can do this. And I'm going to actually just show them to you. I can do the principal plus, remember, over here, we're looking at the future value, not just the interest. So we need the principal plus the interest. So that's the principal plus the interest. Well, the interest is the principal times the rate times the time. So that's the principal times the rate times the time, which is right here. All right, so everything looks good here. The only thing is I need, and what I was going to show you guys, for this one, I'm going to have to lock this the principal and the rate cells in, right? Because when I drag this down, I don't want it to move those. I only want it to recalculate different years, but keep those the same. So I'm going to have to lock those in. So I want to bring your attention over here to the formula. I can actually zoom in on this. Over here on this formula, notice first it has the principal plus the interest. Or you can use the principal, this is those of you who remember how to factor something out, it's the principal times the interest, so they just factored out the principal. And I don't even think I want to get into that. You can also use the formula that way. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn this to a 1 and put a plus here. And then here I am going to multiply this. Excel wants those parentheses. Whoops. All right, so now I'm just using the other piece of this formula. Now I have the principal times one plus the rate times the time. Everything looks good. Just don't forget that I do need to put in my dollar signs to lock these cells. I want to lock in Charlie 72 and Charlie 73 because I don't want those to drag proximity. Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then go back and do the other Excels. All right, so why did this happen? I don't know, but I always just kind of expand this cell, see if that does anything. It did not, so I'm going to pause the video and figure it out. Okay, I figured it out. I went back up here to number, and I've actually dealt with this before. If you click the dollar sign from right here, it gives you an accounting. That's the default, is some accounting thing that I don't know how to use. So you have to click on the dollar sign and do United States. But I need to select all these cells and then do that. So we're not just looking at, let me go up here to currency and then to, isn't there just one that says USD? I thought there was. All right, I am going to pause the video again. Okay, I figured it out. Right here in my formula, you can see that I have an extra 1 right here. So this is actually calculating cell Charlie 721, which there's nothing in it, so it's saying 0 times all of this. So always just look for your little stuff like that. Hopefully it works now. Yay. All right, so now thankfully this column is done. This is the beauty of Excel, is that I get to just double click this corner and it'll apply it all the way down. Awesome. I invest $60,000 and in 30 years, I've gained 108 grand. Pretty good, right? Well, that's simple interest. What happens if I use compound interest? Compound interest is has a different formula, and the formula for that is given to us within the problem here. So we have the future value of compound interest is going to be the principal times E raised to the rate times the time. What is E? E is a value 2.7. It's a number like pi. Pi is an irrational constant. Anytime you take the circumference of a circle, the circumference of a circle and divide it by the diameter, you get pi. And E gives us an exponential we use it for a lot of exponential formulas. So you can Google and get some more information about that. But we are going to move on here, and we're going to look at how to find E in Excel. Here, just click. What do we want here? The principal times E. So I'm just going to type E into my keyboard, and you see how Excel brings all of these things up. And it's EXP. And then we just put in whatever it's being raised to. The exponent is what? It is the rate times the time. And again, remember folks, we have to lock these cells in. So we have to lock in the principal and what else? The rate. What did Excel found a typo? Not sure what it was. I'm not sure why it came up with those number symbols, so I'm just going to make my font smaller, and that was the problem. So always try stuff, folks, before you email me. Just try a couple different things. Change your font. You can, Google things too. Not that I mind you asking questions, but sometimes a little bit of an experiment will get you your answer very quickly. All right, so double click there, and all of these numbers got a lot bigger. That's why they did that. So I'm going to actually just go ahead and expand this out. And that's your other option. You can make the font smaller. You can expand your cell. All kinds of things you can do. All right, now let's look at the difference. Whoa, you can see the values here. The compound interest grew in 15 years almost to what it took the simple interest 30 years to grow. So let's see what the difference is. The difference is going to be one value minus the other value. Obviously the larger minus the smaller. All right. And then we're just going to apply that. Excel knows when to stop. Isn't that cool? All right. So, wow, look at that. We earned a difference of, the difference of how much you earned between the two accounts is more than what you earned in the simple interest alone. So those are all interesting facts to talk about when you write your summary. All right, folks, here I want to see some nice, good vocabulary about the differences between simple interest and compound interest. You can even Google. Let me just show you real quick. You can even Google E. Let's write the value of E. And here we can get all kinds of cool information about this number. So have a look at it, and it's Euler's number. You can, let me see if I can find this here. I might be spelling it wrong. I did spell it wrong, but Google knows what I meant, don't they? All right, so here, if you look up Euler's number, I know it looks like it says Euler's, but it is pronounced Oilers usually. But look this up. It's cool. You can learn some really neat stuff and find something a little extra cool to add into your summary. All right, I am going to move on to number 5. We're rolling right through this. Good job, guys. All right, guys, I did forget to add the graph for number 4. I thought it looked bare, and then I moved that summary over there. So I'm going to move the summary back and just go ahead and finish up number 4. It's all one video for you guys, so that's good. All right, we are going to just select the data, and hopefully you guys figured this out by now and you already put your own graph in there and we're able to have a look, explore with some different things. All right, so you guys, I was just looking through them. So you guys can choose one. Make sure you add your titles, your axes, titles. I don't think data labels are going to be really that great in this. You have your years here. These years should be in increments of 5. So you do need to fix that. Access options. Oh, here we go. I see. Here we have our maybe tick marks or labels. Numbers, intervals at 1. I'm going to put 5s. I think that's what I'm trying to find here. And then what? So I changed that to 5, and then it did not do anything. But I'm going to move on and leave that to you guys. So you guys can figure out how to make this count properly. It should be counting 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay? And turn this into dollars. Just see if this works here. Oh, remember, I don't want that accounting thing to happen. But I guess I don't have that option here. All right, but there are options over on the chart thing to change stuff. All right, I am going to move to number 5. Number 5, I am looking to find the monthly payments on a house, it looks like. So the house sells for $400,000 and $400,000, and with an 8% down payment, and an 8% down payment is made. Mortgage is secured at 5% for 20 years. All right, so we are going to create a chart here for number 5. Of course, I already have my lovely chart. All right, the cost of the house is $400,000. The percentage down, let's see, I'll change this cell to dollars. English, United States. I'll change this to %. Uh-oh, did not mean to do that. All right, this is a percent down, was 8%. Uh-oh. 8%. So now what was the amount down? That's what it's asking. And the amount down is 8% of 400,000. So that is going to be 8% of 400,000. All right, so now we want to know the principal. Well, the principal is how much we borrow. So the principal is going to be sorry, I just got distracted because I just realized I didn't get all of the cells here. What is the principal going to be? The principal is going to be your cost minus your down payment. Okay? So that's the principal is how much I have to borrow. I have to borrow the whole amount of the house except, that's what the minus sign is, except the down payment. That's my principal. All right, well, what's my rate? My rate was 5%. Remember, I want this to be percent. So this is 5%. Oh, I still didn't get it right. I was supposed to put 0.05. All right, and then how much time? 20 years. And I'm going to go ahead and label this time in years, or I could even just label it years if I want to. All right, and then what about a payment? The payment, okay, here's the fun part. This is the one why I have to do this problem with you guys. The monthly payment is using this lovely formula. Does everybody see this lovely formula? I'm actually going to pause the video for just a second. Well, let me see if I can actually go back and look here on my practice sheet that I use. And I'm looking at my monthly payment formula. Oh, is it in here? That's not the same problem. But that's okay. I'm going to pause the video for a second because I want to go get something to show to you guys. So hold on. All right. So I went and got it off here. I went to the homework example and got this, even though I could have just Googled it while I had you guys on the video. Would have been just as easy, but that's fine. Here we're going to see what each variable stands for. The M stands for the monthly payments, principal of mortgage. N is the number of times that the interest is compounded each year. So N, if it's compounded quarterly, would be 4. If N is if it's compounded monthly, N would be 12. You see how that works? Bi-monthly, N would be 6. So stuff like that. T is the term of the investment in years. So that's going to be our 20. And then R is our interest rate. In decimal form, it has to say in decimal form because this is back in the day when mostly people were using calculators, I guess. But we don't need to use decimal form in our formulas because we get to use Excel and make it look beautiful. All right, so here's where things all go. The monthly payment. All right, so I am going to put in my equal sign here because this is where I'm going to use this formula. Something else I want to talk to you guys about is here you see on this formula, I have a numerator and I have a denominator. So I want you guys to think about, let me get like a red pen. I want you to think about, let me get a stylus. Do I have one? No, I don't have one here. So I'll just use my mouse if I can. That the numerator has parentheses around it and the whole entire denominator has parentheses around it. You see that? Because when I put this in Excel, it's not going to be in fraction form. It's going to have a backslash between them. So I want parentheses around all of that stuff. Okay? All right. And plus, I do tend to throw parentheses in. Oh, look at this. Oh no, that's just going to be too big. Is this one okay? I also always, it's my style, I always put parentheses around my fractions. Whether they're necessary or not, it's just a habit. and that I've created, because it's better to have the parentheses. And we're also going to use these parentheses. So those are all the extra parentheses I'm going to add into Excel. All right, so my monthly payment, and I could, not mean to do that. I can even change this to monthly payment. I am going to go ahead and wrap all this stuff because I like my stuff wrapped. All right. Equals. First of all, my numerator. So here are my parentheses that I just wrote over here on this document are red. That's going to be the principal times, like I said, I like to put parentheses around my fractions, times the rate divided by n, which is how many times it's compounded. What does this problem say? This percent down is made. A mortgage is secured at 5% for 20 years. All right, let me go back and look at the problem on the homework and see if I missed something because I don't see the number of years recorded. Well, that's pretty funny because it says right here for 20 years. So don't worry, that was less than a minute I took looking at the homework before I figured it out. All right, so the number of years, which is the next cell right here. All right, divided by, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking for the number of years. The number of times it's compounded. Sorry, hold on again. Okay, I see in the example that the number of times it's compounded monthly. So this number is going to be 12. And that's just from looking at the example. I see that they use 12, and it did not say anything about how many times a year it's compounded. So I guess it's 12 if it's otherwise stated. All right, so here we have that, and now I'm closing out the whole numerator. Because you see those parentheses were just for my fraction, and these other parentheses are for the whole entire numerator. Now I'm going to put my division bar. Now I'm going to open parentheses for my denominator. And my denominator is 1 minus, open parentheses, 1 plus, I'm going to do parentheses again, and I'll just keep saying it. I like to put parentheses around all my fractions. Times the rate, or plus, I'm sorry, plus the rate divided by the number of times it's compounded, which since I already have that, I'm real big on cut and paste. So if it makes my life easier, I'm using it. All right, so plus the rate divided by the number of times it's compounded, in this case is 12. Now look at the denominator carefully. Here's my denominator. 1 minus, open parenthesis, 1 plus. So it's the 1 plus, look over here at my denominator. You see what is being raised? Let me delete all my writing here so that you can see better. If you see what's being raised to the power, whoa. Oh my goodness. Sorry, you guys. These are very patient and I appreciate you. All right, I think that's going to be it. If you see what's being raised to the power, it is this right here. That's what's being raised to the power. So when I do this over here in my formula, I am going to make sure that this piece right here is what I highlighted in blue on the other page. So that's what's going to be raised to the power. So that's going to be to the power of negative. Remember before how Excel wanted the negative in parentheses? Sometimes I get a little bit confused about that. So I do this. My exponent is going to be in parentheses. So I'll just go ahead and do that first. That's going to be raised to the power of n, which we already decided was 12, times the number of years, which is my t value here, but it's negative. So Excel does not accept a negative sign. I think that I can just put parentheses around the 12. I guess I can go ahead and try that. See what happens. If I put parentheses, is it going to count 12 as negative? All right. Something weird happened, so I'm going to just kind of do what I know how to do. I'm going to put, instead of this 12 in parentheses, I am going to put this as a -1 in parentheses. That's what I've done in the past. And All right, guys, let's look at number 6. Number 6 is talking about subsidized and unsubsidized loans. So when we talk about subsidized and unsubsidized loans, we are talking about a subsidized loan means that as long as you're in school, you do not have to pay any interest on the amount that you borrowed. Unsubsidized means that you accumulate interest while you're still in school. So say you go to school for 8 years and you take out a loan, you pay interest the whole time you're in school. I don't need to talk about it, let's just do it. You'll understand better to actually see it. So I am going to copy this here. error did they find? I don't always know if I should accept it. A monthly payment of $89. That sounds good, and I do want that to be dollars. I'll actually choose for both of those cells to be dollars. All right, now I want to know what would the monthly payment be on the same loan. I'm just copying and pasting this because it's all the same information. Now, what's different about a subsidized loan? Guys, when you pay back an unsubsidized loan, you start paying it back right then and there. Your loan is interest free for the entire time that you're in school. What happens when you take out an unsubsidized loan is that you actually have to pay interest on those 3 years. These 3 years right here. Whoa, what happened? Oh, I see. I turned the colors of the numbers rather than the cell itself like I wanted to show you. Where's yellow? I want yellow on this. All right, so these years, you would have to pay interest on those 3 years. So let's see what this looks like. All right, equals the principal. What is the principal now? It's not just $12,000 because now it's the principal plus the interest, right? So it's the principal plus the principal times the rate times the time. That's our new principal, is the principal plus the interest. All right, and then that is going to be applied to, again, I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter. And now I get to just copy this whole thing because it's all of that except what? What's different? This right here, this Charlie 124, that's my principal, $12,000. But now my principal is $12,000 plus the interest because I'm not going to pay on my loan while I'm in school. I'm going to pay on my loan when I get out of school. So okay, what is this all saying? Sometimes it's easier for me to just read through it rather than look at their correction. So here I have my principal plus my rate times my time. Principal plus principal times rate times time. And then I have my I'm still working on my numerator. All right, so here's where the trouble is. Now this whole entire big thing is my numerator. So I need to put parentheses around all of that. And let's see if, nope. All right, I'm going to pause the video for a second, guys. All right, I found it. It was a very simple mistake. I had one too many parentheses in my numerator. Right at the end of my numerator, I had an extra parenthesis. So that was pretty simple. All right, so here you can see that on a $12,000 loan for 10 years, you would pay back $89 a month for the subsidized and $98 for the unsubsidized. And, you know, we could even add a whole nother column here and find out the total. The total payback here would be, we're going to say we're paying it for 10 years. That's what's embedded into the formula. So here we would have 10 times 12, because there are 12 months in each year, times this amount. And then I want to apply that same formula here. All right, so you can see that you would pay back about $1,200 more, a little less than $1,200 more with the unsubsidized. And, you know, this is just for a 3 years with $1,200. What would happen if you had, like, look at this. What if you had, I was just going to show you the example in the book, but I think I can remember it was $35,000 at 8% for 6 years. And, really, if you have to watch that, because you see how I did that, and sometimes it see how it changed it to 3501. Oh shoot, that's right, I can't do that because it wasn't the same formula, that's why. All right, but I can do this. The longer you go, the more you borrow. What if I went to school for 6 years instead of 3? So there are all kinds of factors that can change this. You guys work this out, look at it in your own, the numbers that we used for this. And what would have made things easier if I would have used an equal sign and used formulas for the cells instead of, like, if I would have had equals 12,000. And let's do this one as equals this, equals this, equals this. So now if I wanted to go back and change things, it'll change everything. What was this one for? 3.5? Oh, it's changing it to 4. You know why it's doing that? Because I have to go up here to I have to give it some more decimal values. It rounds it. If it doesn't get enough decimal places allowed, it rounds it. And what was this? This was actually 3 in my problem. All right, so that's how it's cool. When you use Excel properly, you can, you actually do less work in the end. All right, then of course I would want you guys to create a graph here. You might just use where it says subsidized and unsubsidized. I'm just going to select all this stuff and see what it looks like. I'm not really sure what I'm seeing here. I don't know what those series numbers are. So, I am going to, I just say that I'm going to leave you guys to figure it out, and I know I should do that, but, oh, I think that might have been the when I selected that top piece. Let's see what happens here. And you guys, I always say you're not limited to whatever I'm doing. You guys try your own stuff. I'm learning Excel too. I'm not an expert on Excel. I'm just learning it as I teach it to you guys. Literally learning how to do this stuff right before I make the videos usually. So you guys can learn how to do a couple extra things here. The monthly payments are so low that it's not even significant. So I think that this one might just be a good visual just to look at the payback totals. And you guys can make some decisions. So something's not coming out. I'm going to actually copy this whole chart. And I guess this is not actually working out for me. Is it? I could leave one chart for you guys to do that I don't have to do. I really want to get all this on a chart. Oh, there we go. Yay. All right, perseverance. Just a little bit of perseverance. It probably wasn't even hard, but I'm getting so tired. All right, so don't forget your scenario. Here's a nice chart. Again, make sure you add all of your titles, make everything look real nice, and talk about it good. If you guys notice that my screen is turning different colors, I don't know if you can see that like I can, but it's because it's getting late, so it turns off my blue light. You guys can Google that, what the blue light does to your retina when it starts getting late, and it actually robs you of sleep. And there are some really cool apps you can get to help you with that. So just Google blue light controlling apps or something. I don't remember what this one is called, and I can't look for it right now. But I will see you guys soon. Our last module, we're almost done. Goodbye.